Hello and welcome to Head Above the Clouds podcast. And for what seems like forever ago, we are pleased to say we are back following the launch of our pilot series with even more conversations around mental health, well-being, guest experiences and endeavours, and boy does it feel good. For those of you who are new to our podcast, a big hello from the HATC team. Here at HATC, we continue to create spaces where people can find a moment's escapism or even a bit of respite. So take a moment, settle in, and welcome to the community and world that is Head Above the Clouds. The Queen of Broadway herself has arrived. For issue 12, I had the opportunity to sit down with Idina Menzel and talk all things musical, how she manages her anxiety as she's found fame, the communities that lie at the heart of everything she does, and of course, her new album. The Tony Award-winning, multi-platinum selling singer-songwriter has been at the heart of many cultural moments that I still hold close to my heart to this day, from Wicked and Defying Gravity to being a cultural icon for me. I accepted pretty early on in this interview that a part of me was going to be fangirling hard. So here's your chance to as well. Get comfortable for another episode of The Unheard Tapes, and welcome to the world that is Head Above the Clouds. Hi.
Hi. Hold on one sec.
So thank you so much for joining me. I'm very excited anyway. Yeah, even over the years. Oh, hello.
Hello, I'm squeaky clean.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say like growing up, I've watched everything from Wicked to, Glee to listening to your music. So this is really, really great for my inner child right now, especially.
It's great for my inner child too.
Good. That's what I like to hear. So what better place to begin than with your legendary status, Queen of Broadway. You debuted, is it 25 you debuted for Rent?
Yes, in 1995. It was 96 by the time we moved to Broadway, but yes, I was 25.
When you were 25, how was it? What was your first impressions when you took the role and you began and that lead? And what were your first impressions?
Well, that's a big story. I'll try to be succinct. Well, at the time I was pounding the pavement trying to get a job. I was singing at lots of weddings and bar mitzvahs with bands and just making a living like that. I was hosting in restaurants. Then I got a call from a friend who was working at an agency, and they said they were looking for unknown talent for this little off-Broadway show called Rent. Would I go in? And it was the play was going to be in January and February, which are very quiet months for those kind of parties because the weather's so bad. So I thought, okay. And I went in, and then I booked that job, and we thought it would just be, a short run at the New York Theater Workshop, which is this small but prestigious off-Broadway house down on East 4th Street, I believe. And it was the moment I was there, it felt like something special. I didn't know what it would become. We were all very close. I got to meet Jonathan Larson, the composer, and he wrote music for my voice once he got to know me, and so that was very special. And then on the night of our very first audience, he passed away. I don't know if you're familiar with that story, but he passed away at the age of, I think he was 34, and
so young.
And that was traumatic for all of us. And so I think it really changed all of us, and informed who we are as people and as artists, because, well, we lost a friend. We had an incredible responsibility as it became more and more successful. to really make sure we did right by him. And so I think it really put our priorities in order as young kids, getting a lot of fame early
Mm.
on. And then it was life imitating art. The show was all about artists and losing people before their time and community and loving who you want to love. And so all of that, um, you know, the meta of it all, really resonated with all of us every night on stage. And then I think it was a reciprocal experience for the audience as well as for the cast.
Yeah. I mean, what a community to create, and especially in his memory. I mean, as much as it must have been kind of a weight of responsibility to carry, what a way to make it kind of, you know, just that kind of circle of life and keeping it going and keeping it alive. It must have been a magical way to kind of remember him, I'm guessing, alongside the trauma.
Yes, and it continues to be with every anniversary and every story and everyone whose life he touched that um, is at all of our concerts or projects that we do. So we're constantly reminded of him, and um, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, as I say, the communities become so dear to people, and they really do become their lives. I mean, our one of our work experience, Madison, she spends pretty much every weekend at the theatre. And people become so in depth with it and they love it so much, it becomes their lives. And obviously when you went to Alphaba, which, I mean, what a role. I mean, it obviously blew up even more for your career. And with people, obviously, they kind of, these worlds are like escapism for many people, which is often what we focus on. Do you feel like, well, not a responsibility as such, but for people who come and they want to transport into this world, how do you feel
Well,
as artists doing that?
yeah. Well, I mean, that's how I feel when I go to the theater. So, ever since I was a little girl, and the lights would go down and the overture would begin, and I'd get goosebumps. And um, so I know that feeling, and of wanting to immerse myself in another world. And what is so beautiful about art in general is how it promotes empathy, and especially us as performers and actors, and getting to walk in the shoes of other characters and other um, experiences. Um, it really helps us to have compassion and understanding for what other people experience. And I think that's what it is for anyone going to the theater. And that's why art is so important, and not to get off on a tangent, but why we need to make sure that schools and communities have their arts programs, because it's how we really understand humanity. And I think that for me, from a mental health standpoint, I for me, it's a sanctuary. I I feel a sense of community and family, when I'm preparing a show and I'm in rehearsal, when I'm on stage with my cast, with the audience. You know, um, there's this magnetic, unspoken energy and connection that we all have together. Um, and I often feel like, I guess what I'm trying to say is, when I'm performing, I'm on the best days, I am transported somewhere where if you asked me how I did something or how I was feeling, I couldn't tell you because I'm so in the moment. And to me, it's like, I'm not religious, but that's the closest thing I have to feeling something bigger than myself.
Mm.
Of course, there are other days where I can't achieve that, and all I can hear is the noise in my head and the anxiety I have. And um but but that's the gift and the curse of performing and putting yourself out there and taking a risk, um and making yourself vulnerable.
Yeah. I know you've spoken out about the kind of the vulnerabilities. And I mean, for me, it really translates. I've got bipolar, and me as a teenager with that was difficult. It was, not just difficult for me, but others around me, but music especially was such like a form of escapism. And being
I'm
able to
sure.
kind of be in that world, I think it's incredible, but it must also be incredible to be able to perform and on the stage and give that to people, but also for yourself. And I know you've spoken out about kind of the vulnerability that that
Well,
is.
I have, haven't been shy about talking about my, anxiety, and I'm afraid it's gotten worse as I've gotten more successful, unfortunately. I think because I feel more people are watching, and I think when you're more successful, you're further to fall. And so I have to work extra hard at trying to stay moment to moment, to stay appreciative of where I am and try to enjoy my process, and not be result oriented. I have to love myself more because otherwise, why am I even doing this? But yeah, but my body does things to me that make me um, uncomfortable, and I try to channel that through my singing, my voice, my acting, I try to put the emphasis on who I'm trying to reach as opposed to how it's affecting me. How can I change someone else with what I'm singing or saying? Um, and sometimes I have all different techniques. Um, but sometimes it's about just like picking my son to sing to and making it that simple.
Mm. I think you're right. It's about finding your things that kind of work for you. And um, I must admit, the things I've tried, some work really well, and some not so much. So it's kind of about finding that middle ground, which can be quite difficult, especially when you're in the moment with anxiety. The last thing you want to do is or the last thing you're thinking about is a technique, or so to put it into practice is quite difficult.
Well, it's just because your mind starts working, and your body, your heart beats faster, and um, the naysaying in my head gets worse. So I have to, you know, um, work hard at that. And I'm not averse to taking taking antidepressants or the anti-anxiety medicine. Since we're all talking about it, I'm supportive of that, and hope that people don't feel shame about that, because it can really help people, and we can be just more present and enjoy our life in the process so much more.
100%, 100%. We often say in that well, I've been taught from like the kind of bipolar side of things that it's like a triangle, and we often refer to the three corners as therapy, medicine, and sleep. Ironically, luckily enough, one of the corners very much helps with the sleep. So thank God.
Yeah,
But yeah, you're so right. I think I grew up thinking, I think when you first go on medications, it's quite daunting. I'm very not proud isn't the right word, but I rely on lithium quite heavily and my medication. Thank God I have them because life is a sadder world without them. So yeah, it's amazing that you're able to kind of talk about that and be open and feel the good that comes with that, not just this kind of stigma that is thrown out there,
exactly.
which can be rough at the best of times. I mean, talking about, going into your career, obviously, I can't even imagine the pressures because it was sky high. And then obviously you went into doing like things like Frozen, which is like a whole new level of, I mean, I don't even know how much, I think it was 1.2 billion pounds it brought in and all that craziness. But obviously with being like for kids, even though I will admit very happily, I've watched it many, many times. Um, no shame there. What an incredible way to like introduce them to like a new world of like I watch my godchildren when they see it and the way they light up, and what a wonderful thing to be involved in.
I think that's probably the greatest gift that I've had in my career is how all the roles through each decade have resonated with young audiences, and that the projects that I've been a part of have such strong, important messages for people in general. You know, that about really um, embracing our unique qualities, about embracing what makes us, embracing our power, not being afraid of our power, um, and also not shying away from a light, that's shining on you, stepping in um, to the spotlight, if you will, metaphorically speaking. And Yeah, and also what's been really wonderful is that I feel like I'm growing up with my audience. So the Rent fans are now grown ups and they have kids, and now, or Wicked. And so we can really, um, uh, we can experience this together. And that's something I'm just super proud of.
It's such a nice, like, it's like circle kind of, and I'm trying to think of the right word, but like the reoccurring and having that kind of forever feel to it, which is really nice. I mean, did you ever think, you know, it was going to get to this kind of level of, um, you know,
No, no, I thought, when you land like a Disney princess kind of role, that's obviously a huge accomplishment. And it's exciting, and that would have been plenty. And so for it to become such a phenomenon was unimaginable, that it would take on this life. Um,
I can't even imagine. And I wanted to bring up something that you said earlier about kind of the roles and the strength of the characters. Because I know there was a quote you said about playing these strong women and the kind of depth. I think it was you said they were obviously very, very strong characters, but there's a depth of like vulnerability and journey in like harnessing their power. And I guess that kind of relates, obviously, like films want to do with the audience. Like, how has it been? How have roles like that helped you, if there's
ah,
been?
yeah, of course. I mean, uh, I think that's what I was speaking to. I'm saying is such a gift because you learn. I'm one to think that we learn as grown-ups just as much from young people as they learn from us. So the interaction I have and the feedback I get from young people and how they've been um, touched by an Elphaba or an Elsa and the music, and how it's been the score and the underscoring in their lives. Um, it's it's a it's beautiful to hear all that. It's also a reminder to me, um, every time I sing the music, every time I go on stage and I sing these songs, people ask me, do you get bored of singing them? No, because it's kind of like a little reminder that I need to walk the walk, talk the talk, practice what I preach to these kids. And it doesn't, I may seem confident and like I have a lot of self-esteem, but there are good days and there are bad days. And, um, it's not always easy to just let it go or defy gravity. It takes work sometimes. And so I need to be reminded of that as well. And I get to see great courage in the audiences that I play to, whether it be kids in the LGBTQ plus community, um, whether it be young women, women in general, trying to um, calibrate their power and how um, they are received, and we all are received in the world if we allow our anger to come out, and um, how we don't want to be alienated,
Mm.
all of us, for just trying to be who we are.
Yeah, no, I feel, and I think it does kind of, as I said before, it definitely like shines through. There is a magic to it. Um, and speaking about obviously kind of confidence, and the new album's coming out, which is really exciting. That's out in August, if I'm right. I should be right with that. And I mean, first of all, the artwork is beautiful. There's like
Thank you.
disco, confidence, bright, bold. I'm very much here for it. It looks incredible. Um,
Thank you.
and the music as well, from listening to it, is just like there's such. I mean, to be fair, Move is an absolute bop. I'm not gonna lie. It's just I honestly, it's great. It's so much fun as well. And I don't know, did when you've been writing this, did you just like obviously a lot of confidence is like portrayed from it and feeling good and joy. Were you kind of in that headspace where you just like, do you know what, I feel great, I'm gonna write something I want to write, and it felt yeah, authentic and good for
Yeah, I don't
you.
know if I always felt great when writing it, just because you know, I'm a glass half empty person a lot of the times. But um, I knew that I didn't want to adhere to rules or expectations people have of me musically. And I wanted to do music that, yeah, that would inspire people to get up and dance and celebrate and allow me to do the same. Um, and I also am very aware that I am known a lot from the theater, and I am dramatic in my life. And I felt like dance and disco music actually is a great um, genre for um, um, connecting those two, because there's great grooves and lots of joy and also big melodic
Mm.
um, singing. And so I was excited to do that. I also, I named it Drama Queen because, well, for one, I played a queen. Many things I like to think I'm a queen in my own mind on a good day. But also, I'm kind of trying to reclaim the word, um, because I think um, we all have multitudes, and um, we have many things and many emotions that make up who we are. And that's, what makes us really interesting and um, evocative, provocative. That's the stuff that's
Mm.
exciting. And so all of that in one recipe, passionate, loving, sensitive, fragile, angry, um, um, is all a part of, who I am. And I wanted to kind of celebrate that.
I love it. I love that it's unapologetic. I got told many times growing up that I was a drama queen, but in like the best way from most people. From I'd say probably most 90% of it. My mum was always kind of like, be unapologetic, be out there, be bold.
Yeah,
Oh,
feel things,
yeah.
boldly, like you said. And that's, there's nothing wrong with that.
No, 100%. And I'm all for it. And it is honestly, the tracks I've heard are so good. And I love, as you said, the unapologetic kind of, and disco is the best sort of thing for this sort of, being out there
Uh-huh.
and going wild with it. And what I guess, what are you just finish up really. Now you have the album, you've created it, it's all ready to go. What are you most looking forward to now the product's kind of the making's done of it?
I'm looking forward to performing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm doing Pride festivals essentially all over the world. And I'm looking forward to sharing that with the LGBTQ plus community to start. I'm really excited that the timing's working out with the release, and so that I can really show my gratitude and thanks to a community that has been with me since the very beginning and has accepted me, and has really taught me about living authentically, so I'm excited to sort of give that back and to have fun and to just celebrate that together.
Yeah. I mean, I can't wait, and people are gonna love it. Is that there are some serious bops on there. And I can't wait to just, go out and hear it and stuff. But thank you so much for speaking with me. Honestly, this has been an absolute joy on my part.
Thank you. This was a joy for me. It was such a great interview. I appreciate you sharing your personal stuff, and it's I admire you for that.
Thank you. Well, honestly, as I said, like, it's so much of it of the work you've done growing up has been like such an informative and huge impact. So as soon as I was like, I was like, yes, we're taking this, we want to do this, like, this is, yeah, so yeah, thank you.